Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. And hello, how are you, Miss Daphne Lynn?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. How are you today?
Absolutely wonderful too.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad.
I am. I'm doing good. I love the UDO learning and growing, and spiritually advancing and growing as much as I can, and until we get to that point where we're all really fully enlightened. I'm at least on the path, and it's good. It's a good thing to learn this kind of stuff because it resonates. And it's really teaching us, and the more we get into it, the more you'll see what I mean. How to live. How to think, how to be, how to take control of your life and get back on track with the oneness.
How to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people walking around out here feeling unfulfilled, feeling no purpose. I mean, recently myself, until I got on my spiritual journey now, not religious, spiritual, I didn't feel that I knew my purpose. I didn't feel fulfilled. I was walking around going through the motions of life, day in, day out, repetitively, without that sense of awe in my life, without that sense of fulfillment, satisfaction. Now I'm feeling all those things, and it's from personal growth. Mm-hmm. So many of us get stuck in, I went to school, I've done all the learning I need to do.
Right.
Well, that's not your spiritual path. That's your educational knowledge path.
Yeah.
We all have a spiritual side that we have to feed, and if you're not feeding it in some form, then most likely you're not being or feeling fulfilled.
Right. And you mentioned knowledge, going to school or education. I'd even question that. We do have man-made secular, what they call knowledge. It's not knowledge at all.
Exactly. Right.
We have to understand that there's also a spiritual knowledge that we have lost, from our ancient ancestors, that man has forgotten. So that's why we are here. We're here as part of the whole to help raise the consciousness and that knowledge of that spirituality, so that's what it's all about, so. Alrighty, well, welcome to the NDE World Podcast, and don't forget to go to the website, nde.world, for more information on who we are and what we do, and also a quick reminder, the actual book, The Universal Laws, that we are actually going over in this series can be found at our website as well. Just go to the website and go to the bookstore. We have guest visitors on the NDE World Podcast who are authors, and you can find their material there, and just a lot of good information to help you grow,
Yeah, and in that bookstore, there are so many books from, like, Dr. Jeffrey Long and Raymond Moody. I mean, there's just all kinds of...
Neil Donald Walsh.
Neil Donald Walsh. There's so many books on this website relating to spirituality, to
growth.
The near-death world, to personal growth. If you have a book suggestion, please let us know that we can add it on there if it's not on there already.
Absolutely. And if you've got a book or an author and want to share your story, we'd be glad to have you on, and you can get all that information on the website as well. And also, if you may have had a near-death experience or know someone who has, and they may be thinking about putting together a book or their story into a published form, we also have those services as well. So again, that web address is
NDE.world.
Alrighty, guys, let's jump right into it. Now, the UDO, which is the acronym for Universal Divine Oneness, and those of you who's been with us since this series has started, you know what we're talking about. But for those who are just coming on, it's the Universal Divine Oneness is really just realizing your place and getting back to the oneness of what we call the source or God or the universal divine spirit. Okay, so when you acknowledge that everything is that divine spirit, and then you realize that if everything is that, then you realize that you are that, then you realize that there is a way that has been taught since the beginning of time for you to be able to get back in harmony with that oneness. Okay, so that's what UDO is. It's really just getting the right mindset, taking control of your life, and working towards enlightenment and really getting to the highest version of you. Because it's going to take work. It's not like a lot of people out there teach and believe. You just got to believe something and you're good to go. No, this is a self-responsibility mission. It's a self-discipline mission as well. And we're going to actually touch base on those a little bit more too, because those are universal laws.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let's jump right into it right here, Daphne. Like it says right here, now what we got to do, guys, is we have to understand and realize the importance of our beliefs and getting a hold of our thoughts and our beliefs. All right, just keep that in mind. So like it says here, it says we need to attempt to prevent new beliefs, okay, or things like that from getting programmed without our conscious choice. Okay, guys, the one thing we have to stress and make sure that when it comes to your beliefs, all right, you have to start to analyze your beliefs, all right? You have to start getting control of your beliefs. And the way you do that, you're going to have to start getting into a meditation practice. And we are going to be going into that and teaching you some methods, not right now, but we'll cover the meditation part here shortly. But you have to have some type of meditation so you can be able to calm yourself or calm your mind, to be able to go inside, to start to contemplate and meditate on, and really pay attention to what you do believe, and then how those beliefs were an influence to you. Where did that actually come from? Because believe it or not, all of our beliefs have been programmed by somebody, somewhere, somehow, somewhere in our life. And that's what today's episode is going to really pretty much touch base on, and we're going to get really deep into that.
Right, and that's what I was going to add to this. Once you realize that you may not have necessarily have been the one to do the programming, but then again you may have, and it's about going in, self-reflecting, and reprogramming. I mean, I remember when we came out of the J-Dubs, the Jehovah's Witnesses, that was a set of standards and dogma that everyone in that group lived by, and not necessarily truth like they call it.
Right.
But we had to, and we called it rewire. We got to rewire everything that we were programmed in because it wasn't lining up. It didn't make sense. So we were on that road to spiritual growth, and reprogramming, rewiring your belief system will help you to grow and feel that fulfillment that we were talking about earlier. You got to get rid of all the
preconditioning.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
The indoctrination. Because you all have been indoctrinated, all of us.
We all have, yeah.
Yeah. We all have. Now, so keep that in mind. Now, you have to begin to start, understanding your beliefs, and you're not going to just do it, logically with your head and your thinking. You're going to have to go into that meditative state, like I said, and we're going to cover that later. And like it's brought out here, any meditation technique that works well for you is fine. And there are so many different ways to be able to calm the mind and, really get into a relaxed state. There's easy methods from just walking out in nature to actually sitting down and, getting into a lotus style position and really just going deep within meditation, prayer. I mean, there's different techniques that works, and it's, it's whatever works for you. But the point is, it does work. All meditation style do, and we're going to cover those as well later. But like I said, the point is you have to start doing something. If you just start 5 minutes a day,
2 minutes,
2 minutes a day, whatever, you're going to have to start, and you're going to have to be responsible. Okay, keep in mind that I'm going to keep stressing that self-responsibility for a reason and self-discipline for a reason. Okay, so moving right on along now, to let the universal spirit work through you, okay, in such a way as to recreate one of the best of the ancient vibrational techniques to help others reprogram themselves. Okay, we're going to actually share what that ancient tool is. All right, now, based on the understanding of the universal laws and vibration, okay, that is an actual universal law, is the law of vibration. And We may touch base on that here shortly as well. Now, it says, keep this in mind now, based on the understanding of universal laws and vibration, color, sound, and olfactory aspects of vibration were used to access and affect the body and mind. Okay, let me go back and repeat that line there. Okay, what it's saying here, guys, when you are meditating, here's some tricks, okay? To start getting into that mind, we have to understand the concept of vibration. Daphne, if you don't mind, go ahead and look up the law of vibration, and we're just going to give a short, just a description of what that is for the listeners. Like it says here, here's some of the things you can do for meditation. Okay, color. Okay, color has its own vibration. This is something you guys can get into when you get a chance. Look up the vibration or the frequencies of colors. Different colors will have different effects on your mind, on your psyche, and things like that. So you can keep that in mind. Using colors, you can incorporate that into your meditations. I mean, when I was a teenager and started getting into meditation, there was one we did with candles. And, you'd have like the blue candle, green candle, red candle, white candle, and each one of the candles would represent the 4 elements. You see, the earth, the air, fire, water. And, each color represents something. So each color had its vibration, and it's easier to focus in on a certain color to link with that certain thing, So anyway, just thought I'd put that
also, tying in with that, with the color, and I have just like these little puck lights that you can change the color on to feel the energy of that color, whatever you're focusing on. So there's different methods and ways to get that color, vibration, and everything.
Absolutely.
And I've got this to say with us talking about this. A lot of people out there religiously influenced is going to say, well, this is New Age, you stay away from the New Age. But like we had said earlier, this is ancient knowledge. These are ancient tools that have been used for millennia but have been suppressed, and just now the awareness of coming back to the surface. Exactly. So we've got to get that religious dogma out of the way, because we are responsible for ourselves.
That's right.
And
has religion worked? Look around.
No. Exactly.
Okay, then,
Okay, so I've got the law of vibration pulled up.
Yeah, go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll move on real quick, and I'll explain what this means here as far as these techniques.
Okay, so the law of vibration is a principle that suggests everything in the universe is in a state of constant vibration or motion, and each particle, whether large or small, emits its own unique energy frequency. The law of vibration also emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things through the universal language of energy and frequency. By understanding and consciously working with this law, you can raise your vibration, attract positive experiences, and align yourself with the natural rhythms of the universe. And
we'll get into the actual techniques later.
Yes, that is amazing, because this ties in also with those Hermetic laws. These go hand in hand. There's harmony
laws are
in
the universal laws, though, Daphne.
Exactly.
Really.
That's
the Hermeticism is just, they were the ones that held on to a lot of the ancient secrets,
Yeah.
So yeah, you will hear the same laws and that they use.
Oh yeah.
We just got 200 plus, and they've used lots of them. I don't know, but I know that the standard Hermetic principles is usually, I think, 7 or 8, I want to say. I'm not sure. I have to check into that. But, those are the main ones that they really focus on. But they are universal laws. Those 7 and 8 are, which are the same laws that we're going to be sharing, So you've got to understand that everything is vibrating, from the atoms down to the, whatever you can't even see, the micro and the invisible, but everything is vibrating. A rock is vibrating. Trees are vibrating. You are vibrating. Everything is vibrating. Everything is a vibration. Now, here in the human world, we measure those vibrations in what we call frequencies, okay? Now, I'm a producer, a musician, artist, producer, and I've been working with sound all of my life. And ever since we started doing the digital world, we were able to start capturing the sound waves. And this technology today, even our voices that we're speaking through right now, in any time we speak in our lives, when you're talking, it is a vibration, and these vibrations are vibrating at different frequencies. You see, your body is putting out vibrations at different frequencies. So there are ways to what we call raise your vibration, which is the higher the vibration, the more spiritual, and the lower, the darker it gets.
Right. And I've got this to say about it. We think as soon as we've said something, it's gone, right? But it's energy. It is alive. It is a being itself that goes out into the universe and stays in there. Every word we've ever said, thought, done, all these things are alive. We don't always think about that. But once you're aware of that, you can change the way you think, the way you speak, to help bring about a change in the world that everyone wants to see, because we see the world as in a bad place, if you want to call it a bad place. But we have to raise that awareness so that change can be made.
Absolutely, absolutely. And while we're on that subject, guys, I want to share something with you real quick here. Okay, now, this is esoteric wisdom. Okay, however, science is reaffirming this. So all you science guys and gals out there, it's all connected. Vibration, it's all what we call energy. It's the quantum world that we're talking about, spirituality, whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. It's called different things by different people, but we can't deny that it's there. Here's how it works, guys. Everything is a vibration. Now, you can actually go online and type in and get this chart yourself. I just went into ChatGPT and asked it to give me the frequencies of the widest range of frequencies of emotions, okay, and their actual numbers, which are the vibrations of these energies. Now, keep in mind, the higher the vibration, the more spiritual and godly. The lower the vibration, the more darker and selfish. Keep that in mind, guys. That's all you have to remember, okay? All right. What we're going to do, we're going to start at the top at 700 plus, okay, frequencies in hertz, okay? This is 700 hertz plus is the emotion that we call enlightenment, or that godliness, okay? So when you can vibrate as a human being at 700 hertz or plus, keep in mind now everything vibrates at its own frequency, and even human beings. Now, actually, what is the average, Daphne, did you get that information earlier on the average vibration of humans? What's the average, human vibration? It was 5 to 7?
Okay, so
I don't remember.
The whole body resonance vibrates around 4 to 6.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Like she said, the actual vibration is 4, right, of the body. Okay, keep that in mind. Everything vibrates. We vibrate at around, on the average of 5 hertz, okay? Now, here's where it starts. The emotion or the vibration of enlightenment is 700 plus. I mean, you can go over 1,000 or even higher. The higher you go, the more vibrating you are. So imagine taking a 5 hertz vibration energy, which is this human, and push it to the actual up to 700 plus. I mean, I don't know if you understand how that sounds, but it'll make sense as we go. All right, going down from enlightenment. Enlightenment is the highest. That's the 700 plus. Now, next in line, we're going down to peace. Peace is 600 frequency. Okay, it's a 600 hertz frequency. In other words, it vibrates 600 hertz. Or 600 times per second. Down next is joy. Joy vibrates at 540 hertz. Next is love. Love vibrates at 528 hertz. Next is happiness, 432. Next down is 432. Those are good. 432 is a really good vibration, by the way, in a lot of different areas. Reason, 400. Acceptance, 350. Willingness, 310. Neutrality, okay, and it's 250. Neutrality is where most people are vibrating at, and they jump back and forth below and above neutrality. And neurolinguistics, it's referred to as the void, and it's a good way to fix any kind of trauma in a person's mind. Different techniques, but I'm not going to get into that. But it's referring to the vibration stuff, that you can get to that state of void. Even void vibrates at a certain frequency. Now, Here's what happens. Now notice what happens. We're going to start going in a different direction. Now listen, jealousy, it drops down to 190. Pride down to 175. Anger down to 150. Desire down to 125. Pain 100. Fear 100. Grief 75. Apathy 50. Guilt 30. Shame 20. So if we are vibrating at, on the average of 5 to 7, and then we can push up into the, 40, 50, maybe 60, the world pretty much lives in the vibration of shame, guilt, and apathy and grief, which falls under the umbrella of fear. Okay, so most of the world is living under that, that vibration of fear. Just saying, get you thinking.
Wow, it really does.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little thing about vibration, is understanding that everything vibrates. Okay, you have to understand that.
Because everything is energy. We are energy in a form.
Correct. Yep. And from what I'm understanding, it just depends on the formation, the molecular combination of things that creates these forms that we call, solids and, see-throughs and transparents and shapes and sizes and all. It's all the same thing, but it's just in many forms. You're right. Yeah. Now, back to the meditation part. When you're meditation and understanding vibration, use color, okay? Use sound, okay? Any kind of sound would work as long as it's preferably a nature sound. There are recordings out there you can get. There's meditation music. There's really relaxing type music. In fact, a lot of them even call it New Age music, but it's just meditative type music. But it's out there. There's the olfactory aspects of vibration that were used to access and affect the body and mind. And what that means is typically types of incense would be burned. Certain smells, guys, all smells have vibrations. So if you can go into certain states of meditation and have certain smells, those smells can help alter your state into higher states of consciousness.
Right. And an alternative to burning incense, because, we don't burn incense in the house because it kind of lingers a little longer. So, like reed diffusers, wax burners, this is olfactory. So,
anything, yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be even burned. You can have certain flowers, you can have certain something,
Exactly.
It's really up to you.
There's all kinds of alternatives to burning incense.
Yeah, just like there are different types of meditation. Like I said, that the one I've mentioned earlier, I had actually learned that technique. I haven't practiced it in years, but it was one of the earlier, like I said, I was like 18 when I first learned that one. Was a friend of mine who he was, his religion was Wicca. He was a Wiccan, and they do everything,
Natural.
The natural, magic. That's the old magic, and there's
with a K, not with a C.
Yeah, living off of Mother Earth and everything. But that was he. I remember now. He was the one that kind of popped up in my head. And that's why I had to learn that. But it was in my earlier years when I was getting into different techniques and meditations and stuff.
With you saying that, it just really reminded me of my own life, reflecting back to, before I got so religiously indoctrinated, when I was like a teenager, after I kind of started finding my own way aside from my parents' teaching and going to church, I had came across a woman who, like you say, was Wiccan, who just was natural. She would have a spider like we are now, a spider or something in the house, you don't harm it. You get it, you put it out. She lived in harmony with nature.
Yeah.
And I see how that's the spirit has always trying to have been guiding me.
Yeah. So this goes to show you, as long as you are harming none, then your religion is good. You can have your religion. You don't have to have a quote unquote man-made religion. And I don't even like to use the word religion, but just you can create your own connection with the divine. Call it what you want. Call it religion. Call it your belief. Call it whatever. But the point is, do it. Absolutely.
Just connecting with that great spirit.
Yeah.
If you want to call it God, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, that is your walk. And connect with it. Really connect with it. Get close and personal with it.
Yeah, because you are exercising the universal law of autonomy but you also have to practice willfully the law of autonomy, which means believe what you want, that's fine, but do not inflict your beliefs on another person, because you have to respect their belief system. And once everybody understands that concept, it's going to be a whole lot better place, because that selfish belief in, hey, I've got something that you don't have, you need to believe what I believe, or you're cursed and doomed for eternity. That's a separation mindset. That is not a godly unity, oneness mindset. Okay, and back to the subject of meditation and vibrations and things like that, and understanding that there's a reason and a purpose for meditating, like we said, to be able to go within and really to start focusing on what you believe, your thoughts, and to be able to get rid of. Okay, that's the reason why you want to get rid of the ones that aren't empowering. All right, realize where they came from, and realize that all these came from somewhere. People may have had good intentions, but is the belief system empowering, or is it maybe working against you on a different level? Now, the purpose of the vibrations, like it's brought out here, is it says the function of the vibrations are to integrate the threefold aspects of being, okay, which is what we refer to as conscious, subconscious, and universal conscious, or many refer to as your physical, mental, and spiritual being. Miss Daphne?
Yes, this is just so tying in with the Conversations books, where it talks about the mind, body, and spirit, or if you want to call it conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, which this is actually calling universal. So it is amazing how I love how it all just ties together. It resonates with me, and it raises my, if you don't see it, my vibration just went up in reading this. It's like, oh my gosh,
I thought it was the sun just popped up through the window. Okay, it is you, because the curtain's closed. I don't know what I'm thinking.
You're so silly.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, guys. So you have to understand that you are a three-part being. All right, even many ancient writings cover this. It's even mentioned in the Bible. But for those out there who are Bible readers, but in all different from the beginning, a lot of the ancient writings, it does refer to human beings to that, and even science backs it up, and a lot of modern therapies and things like that and systems do have really proven the world of consciousness, and then you get those levels of conscious, subconscious, universal, or that meta, or that, like you said, the super conscious, whatever. The point is realizing we have these three, and they're all kind of mixed up, and they're not really working all in harmony. Okay, so the objective is to be able to integrate all of our parts into one, all of our masculine and our feminine, our vibration of our levels of consciousness and what we think, what we believe. It's that oneness. You have to integrate. Now, in order to integrate, before you can integrate, you're going to have to get rid of everything that doesn't belong within you as the whole that you came into the world as.
Reprogramming.
Yeah, the pre-programming, and you have to go through reprogramming. So speaking of that, let's go and move on. Like it's talking about here, when it comes to this and getting into the right mindset. Like it's brought out here, the fact is a great deal of what you think, just like Daphne had just said earlier, and what you believe has little to do with your independent and creative thought processes. I know that this sounds incredible and frightening, but it's quite true. You have to realize that you have been brainwashed.
From the beginning.
From the beginning. That is the lesson for today. That's today's lesson, guys. Once we get over the episode of today, just keep that in the back of your mind. We're not going to assign anything. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. But keep it in the back of your mind is understand this rule number one. You have been brainwashed. Okay, what you think is real is not real. Where you think you are is where you're not. It's all an illusion. It is the world that you created, okay? So you have to get back to what you came into this world. When you came into this world, you were pure. You were a whole different soul, a whole different being, okay? Everything about you now has been created by the world that you live in through different means, from family, friends, and everything. But we're going to cover that. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
And I'm thankful for this in my walk. And I know there's others out there that are listening that are resonating, and this makes perfect sense to them. And then there's those out there that may be just learning this. So yeah, it is that reprogramming, if you haven't already awakened to this process.
Right. So you have to understand, guys, that we all have been brainwashed. So have you, like it or not, and it's up to you to do something about it. Okay. Remember the law of autonomy.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you
We
have
covered that
everything
yesterday.
you need, which means you have the ability to choose and make the right choices. Now, we're offering these as universal laws. It's up to you. We're giving you the map. Now, this next section I'm going to read for you. It's a little lengthy, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of read it because it really covers what we're talking about here, okay? Now, when it comes to being brainwashed, here's what you got to do. Now, we are all already brainwashed, quote unquote, and still in the process of being brainwashed because our programming was not voluntarily or consciously chosen. Keep this in mind. And where have all of us received our involuntary programming from? Cults. C-U-L-T-S. Shocking, isn't it? But it's true. Now, let's try saying that again, only not using an abbreviation. And where have all of us received our involuntary programming from? Cults or our cultures, okay? We have received
very
everything from our
interesting.
cultures. Wherever we're from has an influence on our thoughts, our beliefs, even from religious to political to everything. Right? That's the first part there.
Exactly.
Understanding that we're all influenced by our cults or our culture. Now, regardless of who or what involuntarily programmed you, it still comes down to this. Now, understand, guys, you did not choose your own programming or beliefs. And that comes with serious problems. Unless you were involuntarily programmed by an enlightened being, and enlightened beings do not do that kind of thing to others. All right? Interestingly, though, enough, the word cult, quote unquote, is merely just an abbreviation of the word culture, quote unquote. But it is deliberately used in a defamatory, inflammatory, and negative way.
Exactly.
It is harder to, quote unquote, demonize a group of people you call a culture rather than a group of people you call a cult. So, when we, others, or the media are talking about a particular unique group, tribe, or religion, we call them a culture if we want to present it in a positive light, or a cult if we want to present it in a negative light and conjure up fear and loathing. It's all about depending on how we feel about them or want someone else to feel about them.
Yes, this ties totally in with the vibrations, with the way that you feel about it. When you hear the word cult, do you go, oh, okay, well, that's this or that's that? It's raising or lowering your resonant vibration.
That's just a thought. See, just that one thought controls everything.
Exactly.
It's powerful.
Love or fear, we only operate out of one or the other.
And what you're focusing on is what's going to keep you in the right vibration, guys. Yeah. It goes on to say that involuntary programming, in other words, you're not making a choice to believe and to choose what you want. You think you are, but you're being influenced by the world of the world.
Right.
Whatever form it comes in. But it says here that involuntary, that's coming from other sources, programming, such as that which we receive from our culture and its robots, okay, our culturally programmed peers, involves attempting to trample our free will choices. Did you get that? Mm-hmm. Just as much as involuntary reprogramming. Now, cultural and peer programming does not trample our free will nearly as much as true, classic, military type, quote unquote, brainwashing, but still, people have no idea what a substantial and nearly total influence it has on their lives. No one realizes how few free will choices they make and have made for actually choosing how they live their own lives. Programming from our culture, family, and peers strongly affects our lives. Programming plays an essential role. People are all programmed by their families, friends, schools, teachers, news media, books, magazines. In modern times, we can throw in the internet and all the media and stuff out there. Like I said, just name it. Just think If 98% of everything you think, believe, and do is from your subconscious mind, and it has been programmed by someone else, here's the question. What are the primary influences that control your destiny and your life? Comments, Daphne.
Wow. In reading this, it really just popped in my mind a statement in Shallow Hal, where Tony Robbins was with one of the actors, and he said that you've been programmed by media and all these. He went on and on and
You've
on
already been
of
programmed,
what you think
hypnotized,
is the good and the positive and everything. And
That's
it's
right.
just like, holy crap! It's truth is in front of your eyes. If you're willing to open your eyes to see it, then you can go to making those changes and reprogramming your life.
Absolutely. And that's the key to all this, guys, is step one or the early stages of really setting up. There's really no such thing as a step one or whatever. We'll get into systematic type practices later, but really meditating on it and taking this to mind that you have been brainwashed. We all have, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Like it says here, now, programming is programming. Whether it is for the first time or it is reprogramming, brainwashing of old data. Everyone has been programmed. Everyone has been brainwashed. You have been programmed and brainwashed. You may not know it or want to accept it, but you have been. And you are under the control of that programming right now.
This just really makes me think about the NDEers. Every people that have had a near-death experience or a meditative state, ego death, where you come back, you realize that life is not what is in front of you, what you've been taught. So these people are having to come back and reshape and reform their lives and make sense of what they experienced.
Yeah.
I love that so many people are willing to come back and share their experience to help awaken the masses, to help raise the vibration, to help raise that consciousness so that we can live in love and be conscious of our actions and our oneness, our divinity. Mm-hmm. Because I remember when I had no clue about all this, the way that I felt in life. Now, I vibrate on such a different level that I feel fulfilled.
Very well said. Very well said. I like that. Now, let me finish this right here. It says that most everything about your life has to do with, what you've been programmed and brainwashed into believing. Now, you are even reacting to what you are hearing from us, or even reading in this book right at this moment, partly based on your programming. Now, sometimes the programming they accept is from another unconsciously programmed person who is just passing along their programming to you.
Right.
Such as, for example, quote unquote, I saw so-and-so today and they said, fill in the blank, of course, and you believe it and just altered your programming to include it. Okay? Or, here's one for you. I read it in the paper that, or I saw it online. I heard this one, that. Did you see that on the news? And what about this? What about that? You hear it and see it everywhere. It's still, even to this day.
Exactly. And, it's like, if it resonates, it makes sense to you, you automatically accept that as truth. And you go to vibrating on that level. You just altered your belief system. Okay, so in altering our belief system, our quote-unquote brainwashing, we're being influenced in some way by someone else, and we do it every single day of our lives. So you have to choose what you accept as a truth. Exactly.
And so many people are in that habit of, like it says here, you accept it as fact and alter your programming, like we'd mentioned. It says, but worse, you are also often programmed by people who really do understand programming and use it to manipulate you. See, there's the dark side of the coin as well. So
think about the commercials that are on TV. You may not see it something subliminal, because I have seen it many times. Subliminal messages in commercials. Everything. Yeah. So you may not be picking it up, but your subconscious is.
Yes. There is lots of powerful mind control in the media.
Oh, yeah.
Advertising. Yes. Very good point. Very good point. But it's for manipulation. So basically, brainwashing, okay, in the sense of reprogramming, is the common everyday occurrence of voluntarily allowing someone else to alter your programming. Let me repeat that, guys, and please understand this. When you have to understand that you have been brainwashed, what does that mean? That means that every day of your life, since day one, you have allowed someone else to program your thoughts. And understanding that means that you're going to have to take self-control and be self-responsible to get a hold of this and be able to choose what goes into your mind. You should maybe have to, even if you got to shut off the television, shut off what what you feed into. Only watch certain things, or don't watch nothing, or maybe read certain things, or don't read nothing. Eat certain things. You're going to have to be conscious of many things.
The law of autonomy that we learned yesterday. You are a sovereign, self-contained unit. You are responsible for yourself. And that's why we say so many times on this podcast, go within, self-reflect on things so that you can learn and grow. Look at all aspects of yourself, from the good to the bad. And see where you need to change things or keep things the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Further on, it says lives are controlled this way. In these modern times, many of your beliefs are formed through media exposure.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
You could totally believe tomorrow that we are about to be nuked by the Russians. Be ready to sacrifice your life and your child's life in order to go to war. And it could be totally false information. Your programming was simply altered a bit, all based on news, quote-unquote, stories that you have accepted as truth in your programming.
And this is why I do not watch the news. I do not watch mainstream television, because these things go in your mind and create fear.
To feed the entities around us.
Yes.
The dark side. It says here that you could be manipulated to believe that Muslims are good, or Muslims are evil and cruel, without ever knowing a Muslim.
Right.
Or even hearing about experiences with them from a clearly experienced, trusted friend. The same with Jews, or Catholics, or such and such, cultists, or whatever. You could feel totally supportive of incarcerating or even killing a man that you have been told committed a murder, even if it were totally false, and all based on stories.
Yep.
Here's the key, guys. Take full responsibility for programming yourself.
Yep.
Someone else will, and always does. And your beliefs and the world you mentally live in could be nothing but fabrication for purposes of controlling you. On the other hand, it is difficult to, quote-unquote, brainwash or program an individual who is well-versed in their own mental processes. We call it awakened, or at least with the techniques and processes that are commonly called brainwashing. Now, in order to attain true independence of mind and free will, a person must, all right, guys, listen to this, you must consciously, deliberately analyze your beliefs and choose your own programming. Like we mentioned earlier, this is where the meditation comes in. You're going to have to start picking up your meditation practices. We're going to teach you techniques. If you don't have any, and if you do, that works for you. That's perfect. But the point is, you're going to have to start doing some self-analysis, get within yourself, and start cleaning the temple, for lack of words.
Exactly, yeah, well said.
Get all the garbage out, and, GIGO, remember, garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. That's why I don't feed off of just anything. I live off of GIGO. I don't put garbage in, so. But you got to be careful and choose what you're supposed to choose very carefully, and be self-responsible, okay?
Mm-hmm.
like it says here, you have to consciously, deliberately analyze your beliefs and choose your own programming, okay? Brainwashing can be a term, all right, that is used to mean someone has been truly involuntarily programmed against their will. All right, here we go. Jesus was considered a cultist in his time, and a manipulator, and his followers were considered cultists. Early Christians were considered a cult for a very long time. Early Protestant churches began as cults with a cult leader. Mormons also suffered the same label and subsequent persecution. European quote-unquote religious cults fled to the United States to avoid persecution, and many are now just considered major religions. Oftentimes, the only difference between a cult and a religion, listen to me, is how big it is and how long it has managed to survive the attacks of society when it was considered a cult.
This ties in with one of our previous episodes when we were talking about cults and how if you really do the research on what a cult is, the steps involve that most religions fall under cult.
Right, absolutely. They all do.
It starts with the singing a song, and then you sit down and relax, and
It's everybody in the altered
listen to
state.
somebody else talk and program you, and then you get back up and you sing again. I mean, that's programming.
Yeah.
That is
Feeding off of their
hypnosis.
information, feeding off of their books, their CDs,
Right.
their information, the Bible, you know.
Exactly. It's a book. You're
Yeah.
not born with a book in your hand.
Yeah, you don't need a book when you become enlightened.
You have to start choosing what you're going to believe in and what you're not going to believe in.
Right. And you got to start somewhere, and that's why we're here.
Right.
So, the term really came from hideous methods of using force to alter programming under extreme duress, totally involuntary. Various quote-unquote modern forced brainwashing methods were invented during World War II by spies and military types to control people's minds. Mm-hmm. They employ various brainwashing methods, all while the person is being held virtual or literal prisoner by either family, friends, accomplices, or hired black belt thugs. Manipulation of the psyche, whether it be by cult, media, or car salespeople, is wrong. Make no mistake about it. Take control of your own programming and prevent others from manipulating your mind. It's the size of the religion that determines whether or not the term cult is applied, and all the prejudice and mistreatment that go with that. Free yourself from unwanted programming to avoid brainwashing and how to be in control of and consciously reprogram your own mind. Now, in order to change your susceptibility to manipulation and strengthen your independence of thought, you must first realize the facts and implications involved. Then, using a teacher, and we'll get into that further, meditation, that's something you can do right now, self-hypnosis, same thing as meditation, various vibrational techniques, biofeedback, etc., or any other means of accessing, modified or altered states, you can set about reevaluating the entire contents of your mind, the source of most feelings and thoughts. So the objective here, guys, is to really get back into that some type of meditation practice, and like I said, we'll share some with you guys here soon. But the objective is really getting along with your thoughts and start thinking about what thoughts really benefit you, and just get rid of it. Find out where it came from. Is this something Mom taught me? Is this something my dad taught me? Did I learn this from my buddies growing up? Did I learn this from my friends here? Did I learn this from church? Did I learn this from school? Did I learn this from TV? Where did you learn it? Is it really first-hand experience that you actually went out and learned, or is it something you've heard and thought you knew about it?
Right, exactly. I would like to make a comment here from the book that just really jumped out at me. It says, no matter how good of a means you use to self-program your subconscious mind, it will not accept the programming unless you really want to change. Now, in saying this, I think about so many people. Okay, let's take the abusers in the world, the addicts. Okay, whether it's somebody going out just partying, drinking, just having crazy fun.
Any kind of addiction.
Okay, any kind of addiction. Their subconscious mind is wanting a change because they know that what they're doing is not good for them. Okay, so they, at some point, come across a religion, somebody in church. They step into that and then claim, oh, Jesus saved me, or the religion saved me.
Yeah, that's not
but
true.
you didn't. It was already your own subconscious reaching out saying, hey, let's make a change.
Right.
Okay, think about the miracles that Jesus did. He really didn't perform any miracles because every time he healed someone, he said, your faith has healed you.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah. Or let
You
it be
went with
according
it.
to your faith
Exactly.
that you're healed. Yeah.
He didn't do it. You did.
And that's something that it's esoteric teachings, guys, that, true healers, and if he was part of the Essenes in some kind of way, that they were healers. They were what we would call, not doctors, but for lack of words, the therapeutae, I think they called. So they were actually healers, and they understand that the key, and this is esoteric wisdom for you guys, the key to any kind of healing comes from within the person themselves.
Exactly.
So anytime he healed a person, okay, it was according to, what they believed. And if this person had already heard that this man is who he is, he has the power.
Already being programmed.
You're already programmed. All you need to do is
Exactly.
just, if you believe it.
Whether you accept it, whether it resonates. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying about this particular comment. You will not accept the programming unless you really want to make a change. And that's how so many lives are changed, because somebody goes to church, somebody reads the Bible, because your subconscious mind, your superconscious mind is reaching out to you saying, make this change. Then that's when lives change. It's not that an external source changed your life. You took that step. Not somebody else. You did. Just like we have on our walk. We all make those steps in our spiritual growth. We accept what is or is not. And if you're not ready for change, it's not going to lock in.
Right. You have to be ready, regardless.
Exactly.
And even, the masters like Yeshua. I remember reading the actual book of the Nazarenes, where he says that, not even God can save you.
Exactly.
You have to make the changes yourself. You have to be responsible. You have to, in fact, let's do this. I keep mentioning this self-responsibility. Let's go ahead, because I'm looking at the time. We're pretty good with today's session as far as, kind of really covering the actual understanding the beliefs and the brainwashing and getting a hold of your own thoughts, okay? So how are we going to do that? You have to be self-responsible, okay?
Self-aware, yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and jump over to the Universal Laws. And guys, you can get this on the website at NDE.world. Just go to the bookstore, NDE.world. When you're on the site, go to the bookstore. All right, let's do a couple of things before we wrap up. Daphne, if you would, just read the first part of the law, the universal law of self-awareness, okay? So it's going to start there, guys. You have to understand the awareness of that you are a self, all right? And you are one, okay? So that's a dichotomy. How can you be separate from someone but still be that same? Well, you are an individual, but you are an individual of the one. And that's how you have to look at it. So let's take a look at the universal law of self-awareness, and that way, just to kind of bring that in. We're not going to actually go over the methods to bring it, to actually how to practice it, but I just want to do that, and then we'll jump over into the law of self-responsibility, and then we'll share with you guys some things to help you really start working on that, because you have to. It all starts with self-responsibility, self-awareness, and then once you're aware of that self, then then it includes the self-responsibility, self-discipline, self-control. There's so many things that you have to do to work on the self.
Right. Reprogramming everything. We had mentioned the law of autonomy yesterday, and today just the self-awareness ties in perfectly with that, because it says the law of self-awareness asserts that understanding oneself is fundamental to personal growth, fulfillment, and success. It emphasizes the importance of introspection, self-reflection, and mindfulness in cultivating a deep understanding of one's thoughts, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. And that when we embrace the law of self-awareness, we cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself, which leads to, like we had talked about, the personal growth and improved relationships and the greater overall well-being and fulfillment of yourself and others. It's a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance that lays the groundwork for living authentically and purposefully.
Yeah, that's the point, because so many are disillusioned by a false self, or what we call the ego. There is selfish and selfishness, and that's not what we're talking about here when we talk about the self. We're talking about that self that is that individuation of the one, okay, and getting that back in sync with the one, or getting it back in harmony with the one. That's really what it means.
Right, and that's why so many of our NDEers come back knowing this, because they've experienced that. Their whole life has been altered from that one experience.
Yeah, and I hate it when they go and share their experiences and they have to butt heads with religious people that have been programmed and brainwashed that's never experienced that. That is so... Anyway, that's a topic for another episode, but I remember reading one that says that God wants spiritual fruits, not religious nuts. So I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Kind of goes in with that. But let's jump over to the law of self-responsibility due to our time limit here. And we'll leave the listeners with this, guys. This is what we're going to do. We're going to look at the law of self-responsibility, and we're going to give you some tips on how you can start focusing on that. And we'll do like a little recap of today, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So the law of self-responsibility. Daphne, would you like to read that, please?
Sure. It says, individuals are accountable for their actions, decisions, and their life's outcomes. It doesn't come from an external source. The law of self-responsibility asserts that each person has the power and duty to take control of their life by owning their choices and the consequences that follow. It emphasizes personal empowerment through accountability and integrity, encouraging people to act with intention and mindfulness.
Wow. Do you see how many nuggets are in there?
Yes, I do.
It's like we've been saying, guys, you have to be self-responsible. What does that mean? We say this a lot, self-responsibility. What exactly does that mean? That means like the law of autonomy. You have the power, okay, and the duty, okay, or the responsibility. All right, keep that in mind. It is your responsibility as a soul, as an individual, or a individuation of the divine, however you want to look at it, to take control of your life. And how? By being responsible. That is self-responsibility. Anyway, thought I'd throw that in there.
And that when you're not self-responsible, you are giving your power away to an external source. That external source is not responsible for you and your actions.
It's part of the mind control.
You are.
It's part of the deception, guys.
When you can really take back your responsibility, it empowers you. You can grow and live with intention and mindfulness.
Right.
You are a self-responsible entity.
And it's your responsibility to act like it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's. How can we use this law of responsibility? Now we do have how many here? About a dozen or so different steps. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've got about a dozen or so. We're going to share these steps with you guys. So those of you who are new to the concept of self-responsibility, hopefully this will help you out. Daphne, if you don't mind, let's break them down. Start with the first one, and we'll go ahead and kind of guide them along and help us as well.
Number one step: acknowledge your power.
Okay.
To recognize control and understand that you alone have the power to influence your life through your decisions and your actions. Okay. That is free will at work.
Yes.
Okay, so empower yourself. And I've said this before, take back your power. Mm-hmm. Believe in your own ability to shape your destiny and make positive changes.
Absolutely. So you see how the law of self-responsibility goes into play here, okay? You have to understand that you have the ability to control everything about your life and to change your life for better or for worse. It's up to you, okay? You have to take control and make decisions, okay, and take actions that are going to make your life better and those around you better.
The thought is coming to my mind where Jesus said, did I not say you are gods? You
It
are
is not
creating.
written, yeah. Is it not written? He's
Yeah,
quoting
is it
from
not
Psalms.
written that you are gods? You are creating your world
Right.
because you are a spark of the divine.
I love that too. That's a good scripture, and it will be a topic for a different conversation. But you have like Christianity, which says, well, Jesus is the only way because he said, I am the way. Nobody can get to the Father unless they go through me. Well, same book, right there in the where he was quoting from Psalms that he says you are gods. When you go back into the reference where he was referencing from, and you keep reading that, is it not written that you also are called gods, children of the Most High? Or wait, actually, you are all children of the Most High. You see, religion will divide you and says, no, you are a sinner. You're out there. You've got nothing to do with God. Okay, You're going to have to go through us to get to Him out there that we created, or you got to go through our demigod, okay, which they say is the only Son of God, to get to that Most High. Whereas in that same Bible where he is quoting from, is it not written that you are gods? You are all children of the Most High. Mm-hmm. Well, where does that put things at? What did Jesus say and what did religion say? And once you become enlightened, you can start seeing through, what was divine, what is truth, what resonates, and what, these masters really taught, and how much was actually, peppered in here and there for, whatever agenda and purpose, usually for manipulation. So, okay, moving on along. Number 2.
So taking ownership of your actions, accept accountability. Now this is part of that self-responsibility. Accepting accountability to take full responsibility for your actions, words, and decisions, acknowledging both successes and mistakes.
Okay.
Avoid blame.
There you go.
Resist the urge to blame others or external circumstances for your outcomes. And we say this a lot on here. You are responsible for this. If you point your finger out, you got 3 more pointing back at you. You alone are responsible. We have to stop blaming others.
That's right. So practice that, guys. It's just to resist the urge. Okay. Anytime something happens to you and it was directly, has some kind of doings or connection with you, your choice, or sometimes you may not even think it's your choice. But the point is, be responsible for your part in something when something happens. You can never blame someone else. In other words, those who sit around blaming others, that's the rebel heart. They're irresponsible, and they'll never change, you see. Moving right on along, number 3.
Set clear intentions. And I have heard this from so many of our NDEers. Set those intentions. State what you're going to do, what you're going to have happen in your life.
Clearly define those goals.
Clearly define your intentions. Okay, so define goals. Clearly define your goals and what you want to achieve in various aspects of your life. Create action plans. Develop actionable plans to achieve your goals, breaking them down into manageable steps. And it reminds me of the movie What About Bob? Baby steps.
That's how you got to do,
Baby
guys.
steps.
And baby steps work.
That's right.
Okay, before we move on to number 4, some of you may be asking, how is self-responsibility a law, a universal law? Well, it's simple, guys. Anytime you put into practice, okay, and you deliberately, consciously, discipline, responsibly, choose to work in harmony with these laws. In other words, if a universal law is self-responsibility, that simply says that you need to be a self-responsible person in order to get in harmony with the universe or with the one or with the oneness, you see. So that's how that would tie in, say, with UDO, for example. In order to advance in UDO, you're going to have to be a self-responsible, self-disciplined person. So let's thought I'd put it in there. Moving on along, number 4, practice integrity.
So we have to be honest. Maintain honesty and integrity in all your dealings with yourself first and others. Keep commitments. Follow through on your promises and commitments, building trust and reliability.
Absolutely. Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no.
That's right.
Maintain honesty in everything that you do, guys, and integrity, because your word is all you've got. If you don't have nothing, then, at least you've got your word. And if you don't have your word, then you have nothing. Moving on along, number 5.
Reflect and learn. Self-assessment. And this is where we're talking about go within.
Mm-hmm.
Regularly assess your actions and decisions, reflecting on what you did well and what you could improve on. Learn from mistakes. View mistakes as learning opportunities rather than failures, and use them to grow. We talked about this on the law of autonomy.
Yes, absolutely. And like it's brought out here, this is more of the meditative practices, or when you can really, go within and reflect on, things. It says regularly. In other words, every day. Even if it's, like we said earlier, start off a minute a day, 2 minutes, whatever, and work up from there. But get into the habit. Set a certain time aside where you're going to be alone. It could be early in the morning before everything starts awakening and getting up and getting loud and everything. It could be in the middle of the night. It could be late in the evening. But you're going to have to find the happy place, the my time, the my place. You've got to find that where it's a nice, quiet place where you can get away and really go inside. Mm-hmm. And like it's brought out here, you have to regularly reflect, okay, and figure out ways how you can improve yourself, in so many different areas,
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Moving on along, number 6, manage your emotions.
Oh, this is going to be a good one because, you hear so many people talking about, oh, I have bipolar and quadrupolar and all these different diseases that...
Emotionally unstable.
So emotional awareness. Become aware of your emotions and how they influence your actions. And then regulate your reactions. Practice techniques to manage and regulate your emotional responses constructively. When we react to something, most of the time we have been triggered in some way. And that's why you're reacting instead of thoughtfully acting out.
Which is the perfect thing to go and meditate on later. If you say, for example, we're in a conversation with somebody and somebody says something that just, boom, and something just went off for whatever reason, and it's just a conversation, Maybe it could have been something they said, could have been the way they said it, a certain look or something, but in conversations, it happens. We experience this pretty regularly, because you're dealing with people out there that hadn't gotten under control their emotional control, okay? So you have to also practice yourself. You don't want it to be, like Daphne said, you don't want it to be reactive. So when you practice, say, for example, if you have a situation where, something triggers you off and it becomes more destructive than constructive, then later get away, go meditate, and use that as your object of, contemplation, and find out, well, wow, why did I feel that? What is it that triggered me off? Why do I have that belief? Why is that belief? Is it helpful?
Where did it come from?
Is it constructive? Is it harmful? Where did it come from? Absolutely. And realize, is it helping me? If it's not a good belief, then you're going to have to get rid of that belief. But also, like it says, you're going to have to practice techniques. We call it pattern interrupts in NLP.
Right.
But, when you can sense something happening, you can throw in a pattern interrupt or say something that's totally different. It's got nothing to do with the conversation. A lot of times that will defuse a conversation.
Yeah, a lot of times if it's a heated discussion or even an argument, throw something in to make people stop and think or either laugh.
Something funny, something just off the wall.
Because it changes that aggressive state, the more masculine energy, and levels it back out with the feminine energy, and it just balances everything out.
Absolutely, and it does work, guys. I've been practicing this in NLP. I got into NLP
longer than we've been together
in my late teens.
Right.
I got my certification back in 2006 as a doctor and started practicing, the neuro-linguistic psychology, and I learned a lot, during that. So a lot of this stuff it's all tied into all this as well. It's really just really getting hold of your mind, your own thoughts, your own, controlling your own decision, So,
Exactly.
anyway, but yes, and I'm glad I have Daphne because I get to practice on the.
Oh, I was going to say, you've been practicing on me for forever.
Psychology. Okay,
Exactly.
moving on along. Number 7, make conscious choices.
Ooh, okay. So mindful decision making. Making decisions mindfully. Considering their potential impact on yourself and others. This is like looking at the coin both sides instead of just one side of the coin.
That's right.
Okay, so intentional living. Live with intention and purpose, which aligns your actions with your values and your goals.
Yes, so you have to align your actions and values with your goals. So, yeah, and practice decision making mindfully. In other words, you consider, the things you say and do. Is it going to be constructive or destructive?
Is it going to hurt somebody else?
Harm,
or
is
yourself?
it going to, love? Absolutely. 8, cultivate self-discipline.
So develop habits that cultivate positive habits that support your goals and well-being. While staying committed, maintain commitment to your goals and plans even when faced with challenges.
Very good, very good. And it talks about that self-discipline, and that is a law as well, the universal law of self-discipline. And we'll cover that here in a future episode.
You just took my thoughts out of my head as I was thinking it. You were saying it. Oh my gosh! No, that spirit just saying, "Hey, this is it."
It wasn't me, Daphne. We see if there's checking in real quick. If there's any laws like universal laws of lying. I'm sure there is. Or lying during an episode. There's got to be something. Number 9, seek personal growth.
Continuous learning. This is something a lot of us fall short on or just do not do at all.
That's right.
Okay, so continuous learning. And I've been told, and you have as well, that you're always seeking and searching. You ain't doing it right.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa,
you read too
wait,
much. You're still looking. You're too long. Yeah. No, that's the way you learn. You've got to learn. You've got to read. You've got to grow. Yeah.
Continuous learning, to engage in continuous learning and personal development to enhance your skills and knowledge.
That's right.
And then embrace the change. Be open to change and adapt to new situations with a growth mindset. That's the issue with a lot of people today. You get stuck in one mindset. You're not growing. You're not doing anything, and your energy feels it. Your subconscious knows it. You're stuck. Mm-hmm. You're stagnant. I've called it stagnant before.
Irresponsible.
Yeah,
it's called irresponsibility. You're not being responsible for your own choices.
Change your mindset. Continue to grow. Seek your spiritual self. Your subconscious and superconscious already know. You've got to line up with that. And when it lines up and resonates, you're like, oh, wow. That's that awakening process which leads to enlightenment.
Very good, very good. Number 10, practice gratitude and positivity.
Okay, so recognize and appreciate the progress you make, no matter how small. And that is self-appreciation. Too many of us do not appreciate our own selves.
Yeah.
Okay, so maintain positivity. That is a must. Oh my goodness. Yep. Cultivate a positive outlook. There's too many of us walking around with a negative outlook on things.
Negative energy, spirits.
Which feeds the fear. Yep. Okay, so focus on solutions rather than the problems.
Okay, perfect. Moving on along. Number 11, foster healthy relationships.
Yes. Respect boundaries. Respect your own and others' boundaries. Fostering healthy and respectful interactions. Communicate effectively. Communicate openly and effectively, expressing your needs and listening to others. Both of these are in the laws. Yeah, and in autonomy as well. So, we have to learn how to effectively communicate. If you can't communicate effectively, if it's getting to a heated or you just feeling tension build, take time out.
Walk
You
away.
do not have to carry out that conversation, or close your mouth and just let that person have their say, and don't take it personally. It's not about you.
If something is getting all on fire inside of you while somebody is saying something, you're the one with the issue, not the other person.
Self-reflect.
Yeah, you have to go inside and ask, what is it? Why do I get triggered? You know, is it a certain look? Is it a certain tone? Is it a certain word? There's something that you are
Taking
giving too
offensively.
much attention to, or you're giving too much priority to. That's probably a selfish belief that is somewhere over in the ego or the self. That is not of God. So, like Daphne said, you have to do your self-analysis as well. But like it says here, you have to respect your own boundaries, but also others.
Exactly.
Keep that in mind,
And that helps to build better relationships. I mean, when you respect others' boundaries and communicate in a positive way, your relationships flourish and grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, and the final one, number 12, take care of your well-being.
Physical health. Prioritize your physical health through proper nutrition, exercise, and rest. Mental health. Take care of your mental health by practicing mindfulness, seeking support if needed, and engaging in activities that bring joy and relaxation.
Okay, very good. So being self-responsible includes being responsible about your health as well, guys. You have to prioritize. Your temple is the most important thing here in this plane that your spirit can live in and dwell in. So if you've got an old, run-down, junky car that's just barely making it and all, you're going to end up breaking down a lot sooner than you could, or should I say. And then whereas if you've got a brand new type, this state-of-the-art, perfect gas mileage, and this thing can just even get up and just glide on air. It's so smooth, it can get you anywhere you want.
Even it's still going to need maintenance.
It needs maintenance.
Exactly.
Correct. And that's the point of it. You have to prioritize your health by proper nutrition. Okay, we're going to get into that. We have a whole section on that because that's part of UDO. It's part of your, getting into the right mindset, because it all starts with nutrition.
And then your mental health.
You're going to have to incorporate exercise and the importance of rest. Okay, those are very, very vital. And like it's brought out, also your mental health. Take care of your mental health as well.
Okay, so when we do embrace this law of self-responsibility, we are empowering ourselves to take the charge of our own lives, making conscious choices and create a fulfilled and meaningful existence. It encourages us to act with integrity. We can learn from our experiences and continuously strive for personal growth and improvement. So self-responsibility, it starts with you.
Very good, very good. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. And this was a really good session. We were really able to, touch base on a lot of good elements concerning UDO. Any takeaways, Daphne? I think one of the first one that comes to my mind is understanding the brainwashing concept that, everything that you think you are and everything that you believe, you're going to have to go inside and start analyzing all that and really, start questioning, where do these beliefs come from, and are they empowering? Or are they disempowering?
Yeah, don't be giving your power away to an external source. Everything comes within. And all the great masters taught this and knew this and tried to awaken others around them to this knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there you have it, guys. And again, we're just scratching the surface. We just kind of touched base on, a couple of laws today. We didn't really go into application on all of them, but we did share some points with the actual self-responsibility, because it starts with you. It starts with self. You have to realize that you are responsible for who you are and where you are. Okay, so keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Don't forget to go to the website, and also the book, the Universal Laws that we are reading from, can be found on the NDE WORLD website. Just go to the bookstore section and you'll get your copy. And any final comments, Daphne?
Take your power back.
There you go. Take your power back, guys. There you go. We love you all so much. May peace be with you all. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.